Hi, my name is Sabrina, and I first wanted to say thank you for having me this year at your conference. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to participate. I work in customer service and administration in the financial industry, and I live with a mental health disability. My employment journey is still ongoing, as unfortunately I lost my job during the pandemic due to accommodation requests not being able to be met. My role, or most of the time my role in customer service and administration, is either internal or external client and non-facing customer service. So that is answering phones, setting up meetings, preparing catering, doing stock supplies, as well as general upkeep and maintenance for the office itself. Yes, so I've been working in customer service and administration since about 2012. So I've had many years of experience. And even before that, I had customer service experience in retail since I was about a teenager. So yeah. For me, as I said, I live with a mental health disability, and I have found that I have faced barriers trying to be successful in the workplace, especially around requesting accommodations. So I feel the best scenario for me is having the ability to be able to work from home. I find that I thrive the best, I'm the most productive, and be able to focus, especially when my mental health symptoms are exacerbated. I find that when that's the case, and when I'm in an office environment, it actually makes my symptoms worse, and then I'm not as productive or focused. So that's why I find working from home is the best way for me. The last place that I actually worked when I did request this accommodation, we were actually in lockdown, and I was already working from home at the time. I was doing the whole role from home because everything was, we're in virtual world now, so the option, especially now, it's available. Previously, in previous years, when I asked for that accommodation request, that wasn't as accessible as it is now. But so this time I felt that it wasn't that big of an ask just because I was already doing it as well. Unfortunately, as soon as we were out of lockdown, I was told I needed to go back into the office. I felt that I didn't understand why couldn't just be able to continue to work from home. I even was perfectly comfortable and okay to have a hybrid model because I feel with my symptoms I don't need to always have to work from home. I can work in the office and still be productive and thrive as long as my symptoms are managed. So I was perfectly comfortable doing that. And at first, I was actually told we can try to work on this. And then, unfortunately, they changed their mind or so forth, and it wasn't a request they wanted to fulfill anymore. And as I was in the probationary period of the first 3 months, by the end of the first 3 months contract, they felt it wasn't a good fit and they didn't want to continue on. So I actually felt like I was okay to ask for it. So when I've asked for accommodation previously, and this was pre-pandemic, I feel like it was me. It was like I was asking for something I shouldn't be asking for, and it felt like it was an over ask. This time, though, because it was already being done and we're in this world now that everyone is working from home, I didn't feel like it was an over ask. It was still very nerve-wracking, and my anxiety was not great. My mental health was not great during the whole process, especially because this was one of the first times that I was really advocating and making sure and that I was wanting it, that I needed it in place. So, yes, I felt overwhelmed and it was nerve-wracking, but I felt like it was okay to ask. Moving forward, I would actually, because this has happened twice now, that I feel that I've lost a role due to accommodation requests not being met, that I would tell them in the interview, disclose in the interview. And I know a lot of people don't do that, and everyone has their comfortability, but I feel, especially for me now, that I would let them know in the interview that I have a mental health disability and I do need accommodations, will need accommodations, and the kind of accommodations, because I think that knowing from the very beginning would be better off for both parties, I guess you could say, and especially for my mental health, because every sort of knockback is still, it still takes a toll out of me. It's still an emotional cost to me. So even though it's the right choice, that even for me, that I didn't want to continue with the last role because it didn't feel like a company that I could feel included in, I felt comfortable working in, that yes, or it wasn't a right fit, it still took a toll. So I would like that from the beginning. I think I will tell them in the interview going forward that this is something that I need. The whole process of asking for accommodations is in itself emotionally laboring, because we're, especially living with the invisible disability, I feel that asking for accommodations, and it's nerve-wracking, like I said. So it takes space and it takes capacity, and it really is a personal choice. It is depending on how much vulnerability that you feel like you have the space for. And I mean, it's taking me like 10 years to feel comfortable talking about it to this extent, but I wasn't like that from the beginning. So it's not an easy journey, and it takes time, and it's okay if you don't have the space to do it, because it can take a toll on you, as I said, and it can make you feel defeated at the end sometimes as well. But just know that you have rights, and know that what you're asking for isn't over asking, and what you're asking for is perfectly okay. And there's no shame in asking. You know, a disability doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to work. It just means you need some extra resources or tools. And other people could also, who don't have disability, and other kind of resources or tools. We all sometimes need something extra, because life is up and down sometimes. So, sorry, I digress. But you have a right to ask, and just be emotionally prepared. For me, that was one of my biggest things, is knowing that this was going to be emotionally laboring and tasking for me, and having a support system to lean on, and taking care of myself the entire time, making sure that my mental health was managed and everything else I needed to do. So, yes, if you feel comfortable, if you feel you have the capacity and the space, advocate for yourself. And the more that we advocate, the more we progress. But always make sure that you're comfortable, and it's all down to your personal choice of how much of yourself and your story and your journey that you want to share.